Hello lovely viewers and welcome to Learning with JJ. Today in this lesson, I am going to show you a very easy way of writing formal letters in any WAEC examination. You will by the end of this video learn all the tips you need to be able to write formal letters even outside the exam room. So stay tuned and like this video. You can consider subscribing to the channel as well to receive updates anytime I upload a new video. Without wasting much time, let's get straight into today's business. Formal letters, as the name suggests, are official letters. They are letters written to convey very important messages in an official and professional manner to persons occupying high positions, such as authorities, CEOs, seniors, and other dignitaries. About the structure of formal letters, the address comes first, followed by your salutation, the heading, the body, the conclusion, and the subscription. One peculiar thing you should understand about formal letters is that they are usually written in brief, or if you like, concise manner. When you write formal letters, you go straight to the point and outline exactly what it is that called for the writing of the letter, the reason behind your writing of the letter. It is assumed that with formal letters, you have no ties with the recipient of your message, and so there is absolutely no need for the exchange of greetings or pleasantries when addressing the receiver of your message. An ideal formal letter can take a page or two, depending on the reason or purpose for writing the letter. Another thing you should know is that formal letters, unlike informal letters, always have two addresses. That is, the personal address and the recipient address. I'm sure you are probably aware that the personal address is usually at the top right corner of the page, whereas the recipient address comes on the left side of the page just immediately after the personal address. You can as well save yourself the stress by writing both addresses on the left side of your page, so that you will have the personal address here and the recipient address also here. Writing your addresses either ways are accepted. Now let's delve into the addresses properly and ascertain what exactly should be written in there and how they should be written. So the personal address. The personal address is your address. It has information about you or the organization you work for, so that when there's a reply to your letter, you can be able to access it. There are two ways you can write the personal address based on the structure. It's either we write it in the block format like this, or the slanted format like this. Also, you can decide to write your addresses in block letters. By block letters, I mean capital letters, or you write them in this format, that is, capitalizing the first letter of each word in the address. Either way of writing the address is acceptable. It's yours to choose. Now the next thing you have to understand with regards to these addresses is whether to punctuate them or not. It is not compulsory to punctuate your address. You can write your address devoid of any punctuations. If you, however, decide to punctuate your address, ensure you do that correctly. In punctuating your address, your name or the name of the institution you attend or work for must take a comma. The post office box must also take a comma. The place where the institution is located takes a full stop, and the date as well takes a full stop. So in all, we have two commas, two full stops. Take note that the date is not part of the address. The date is a separate entity on its own, and regardless of whether you are writing your address with punctuations or not, the date should always take a full stop. Some school of thought suggests that both the date and the address can be written without punctuations if you choose to. But for the sake of exams purposes and to be on a safer side, it is advisable to always add full stop after writing the date. If your address is not written in block, that is capitalized, ensure that the months in the date starts with a capital letter. Why? Because all months of the year are proper nouns and must always begin with capital letters. That being said, let's now look at the recipient address. The recipient address, as we said earlier, is found immediately after the personal address, located always at the left side of your letter. You can have the personal address join the recipient address together like this on the left, or write it as usual at the top right corner of the letter. Let's say this is your recipient address. Now, this is how a typical recipient address looks like. The recipient address does not include a date. The date is usually written immediately after the personal address, and so there's no need to write the date again after writing your recipient address. There is another thing you should know about the recipient address. It is unacceptable to write the recipient address in an indented format. It is okay to write your personal address in a slanted format, but when writing your recipient address, make sure you always leave it in block. A lot of the time, what deters students from choosing formal letters is because of how to write the recipient address. It is somewhat difficult for them to come out with the correct recipient address for their formal letters. Don't worry, that wouldn't be a problem anymore. So now, to write a correct recipient address, first of all, ask yourself, who are you addressing? Is it the principal of your school, the manager of a company, the chief executive officer of an organization? Whoever it is that you are addressing, make sure you first of all write the person's position, followed by the institution where he or she holds such position. So for instance, if you are writing a letter to the manager of Accra Brewery Company, first of all, divide the statement, the manager of Accra Brewery Company, into two. Take away the "of" in the statement and divide the statement from there. You will now have the manager and then Accra Brewery Company. So what you will write first in the recipient address is the manager, followed by the second part of the statement, Accra Brewery Company. Then your post office box follows, and then the city or the town where the company is located follows as well. That's it. You are done. Be reminded that the initials of every word you write must begin with a capital letter. You can apply this formula in writing your recipient address for various institutions. What if you are writing a letter to the headmaster of Galaxy Preparatory School? What do? First of all, you write the headmaster, followed by Galaxy Preparatory School, the post office box and where it's located, let's say Kumasi. If it is that you are writing a letter to the HOD, that is the head of the department you belong to, you first start by writing the head instead of just writing the HOD. Then what follows is the department where you belong to. So let's say Department of Petrochemical Engineering. Now, because your department mostly does not have a post office box, what comes next is the name of the institution and the name of the place where the institution is located. So that we will have something like UDS, Tamale, KNUST, Kumasi, University of Ghana, Accra. The next item that follows the recipient address is the salutation. So after the recipient address, you leave a line and then write your salutation like this: Dear Sir. Now, Dear Sir in formal letter writing is a collective phrase used for not just the male gender but for all genders. So what I mean is this: you can use Dear Sir for both males and females and you will be correct. In real life situations, however, you can decide to write Dear Madam if you know and are sure that the person you are addressing is a female. So after writing the salutation, please bring a comma and then proceed to writing your heading. Now your heading should be written based on the purpose for which you are writing the letter. Some of the purposes for writing formal letters are complaints, job applications, apologies, requests, permissions, resignation, and the like. So, how do you write the title or the heading of your letter? You can write a title in block, that is, capitalizing all the captions. When you do this, there is no need to underline. So that you'll have something like complaints of sexual harassment, all in caps. Another way is by capitalizing the beginning alphabet of each word in your heading. Writing it this way requires you to underline the heading. Take note of the following. When writing your heading, you don't end it with a full stop. Why? Why is it that when writing the heading, you don't put a full stop at the end of it? The reason is because your heading is not always written as a sentence, nor is it written as a clause. It is usually a phrase, so that a heading like application for employment is a phrase and so should not end with a full stop. Also, when capitalizing the beginning alphabet of each word in the heading, you don't capitalize prepositions, articles, and conjunctions. For instance, a heading like Enquiry about a shutdown factory should not have the word about and the article a capitalized. So with regards to the heading, the final thing you can take note is that your heading can be as simple as permission or enquiry or complaint. You write this as your title or your heading and you are good to go. Just one word. You just will need to ensure that whatever you write is in line with the purpose for which you are writing the letter. Understand that it is not all the time that your heading must indicate the specific reason why you are writing the letter. So that one could write a heading like permission to absent myself from school, and another could simply just write permission, and they will all be correct. Just ensure that whatever you write is in line with the purpose for which you are writing the letter. That's about the heading. Let's now move on to the body. The body of a formal letter should always be written in simple language, concise, and should clearly communicate to the recipient the purpose for writing the letter. That is to say, when you begin to write a letter, there is no need for exchange of pleasantries. Just go straight to the point. It is assumed in formal letter writing, after all, that you do not have close ties or personal relations with whoever you are writing the letter to. And so, it is absolutely irrelevant to, for instance, ask about the recipient's health. Let's say you are writing a letter of resignation to the headmaster of the school in which you teach. You can immediately start the body like this. I would like to put to your notice my resignation from the position as teacher of the ABC school. This decision was taken after I received an appointment from the local government to become district chief executive of Savlogun Antong in the northern region. Now take a look at how I began the body. I went straight to the point without any unnecessary introduction or greetings. If you were to continue with this letter, you could in the process make known to whoever you are writing to the date you will begin work as the DCE. Also express your delight or pleasure in working at the ABC school. It will also be an expression of your disappointment as well. Be free to write whatever you want. Don't forget to thank your employer or the recipient of the letter the opportunity given to you to work at the ABC school. State some of the positives you learned while working as a teacher at the ABC school. All these should be enough for you to write the body of a resignation letter. You can apply this knowledge to all other types of formal letters. The trick in writing the body is making sure you write everything that is related to the purpose while you are writing the letter. Before we move on to the conclusion, remember that in formal letters, you do not use jargons. Jargons are terminologies specific to a certain class of people, and so you don't use them when writing formal letters with the assumption that it will be understood. In the first place, it is even inappropriate to write them as you are writing to people of some level of high status or people with the same status as you with some level of respect between you two. Jargons like kambu, meaning a shoe, medase, meaning thank you, akwaba, meaning welcome, dumso, and the like should be avoided. As much as possible, write the appropriate English names of whatever terminology you wish to employ to ensure effective communication of your message to the recipient. Also, avoid the use of contracted words. Words like shan't, can't, don't should be avoided when writing formal letters. Rather, words like could, would not, are not should be used more often. Now into the conclusion. In the conclusion, what do you write? What do we expect to see in the concluding lines of your letter? You express your hope or belief that the letter you have written will meet the warmest consideration of the recipient, that is, if it is a letter for employment. You can express your hope that the recipient of the letter will avail himself to an occasion he has been invited to, that is, if you are writing a letter of invitation. You can decide to end the letter with thank you. The next thing after the conclusion is a subscription. You subscribe by writing something like this: yours faithfully. Add your signature and write your full name. Usually these three are enough, but you can decide to continue by adding your email address and your phone number as well. Remember, when writing yours faithfully, the yours always begins with a capital letter. The faithfully should always be written in small letters, and then a comma comes afterwards. Take note, it's yours faithfully, not yours faithful. It's yours sincerely, not yours sincere. On this note, we bring today's lesson to a close. If you enjoyed this lesson, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to